The betting pools had reached 17 billion credits by the time I arrived at the Coliseum of Vrax. 17 billion. All on the Krell champion, Thorgax the Unstoppable. The odds against the human? 3,000 to 1. And honestly, I thought even those odds were generous. Let me set the scene for you. The arena was packed tighter than a cargo hold full of contraband spice. Delegates from 47 systems had shown up for this. The air reeked of anticipation, overpriced snacks, and what I'm pretty sure was Glorthian body odor, though they insist it's a mating pheromone. Either way, disgusting. Thorgax stood in the center ring, all 9 feet of armored muscle and bad attitude. His 4 arms flexed in sequence, each one capable of crushing Durasteel like it was paper. His exoskeleton gleamed under the stadium lights, black as deep space and twice as merciless. 16 consecutive victories. 16 opponents who had to be scraped off the arena floor afterward. Well, most of them anyway. A couple just evaporated. This is a massacre waiting to happen, my colleague Plix muttered beside me. He had 3 of his 7 eyes closed, unable to watch what was coming. Why did the human even accept this challenge? Good question. Excellent question, actually. The human in question stepped into the arena, and the crowd's roar dropped to confused muttering. His name was Jack Reeves. Average height for a human, maybe 6 feet. Lean build. No visible armor. No weapons. Just some kind of flexible black clothing that looked like workout gear. His hands were wrapped in white tape. That was it. That was all he brought to face a living tank. Thorgax laughed. It sounded like boulders grinding together in a landslide. This is the great human warrior? His translator crackled with disdain. This is what Earth sends. I expected at least powered armor. Maybe a decent blade. This is insulting. Jack Reeves said nothing. He just stretched his neck side to side, rolled his shoulders, and smiled. Actually smiled. Like he knew something nobody else did. Like he was in on a joke that hadn't been told yet. The referee, a crystalline being from Sector 9, raised all 4 of its appendages. Combatants ready? This match continues until submission, incapacitation, or death. Begin. Thorgax charged immediately. The entire arena shook with each footfall. Dust rose from the impact craters his feet left behind. For massive arms spread wide, ready to grab, crush, destroy. Jack Reeves didn't move. Not a single step. He just stood there, watching, calculating. The crowd gasped. Plix covered all 7 eyes. 3 seconds before impact, the human moved. Not backward. Forward. He dropped low, impossibly low, and slid. Actually slid across the arena floor like he was skating on ice. Thorgax's grasping arms closed on empty air where Jack's torso had been a microsecond earlier. Then Jack was behind him. Still moving. Still calculating. What is he doing? Someone screamed from the upper decks. Why doesn't he fight? But I was beginning to understand. This wasn't a fight. Not yet. This was an assessment. The human was gathering data, measuring distances, timing responses. He was treating the most dangerous warrior in the sector like a particularly interesting puzzle. Thorgax spun with surprising speed for something his size. He swung a backhand that could have decapitated a Groxian war beast. Jack ducked, twisted, stepped inside the arc of the blow. His hand shot out. Not a punch. Just a touch. Fingertips against the joint where Thorgax's upper left arm connected to his torso. Thorgax roared. Not in pain. In rage. In confusion. That light touch had done something. The arm moved slower on its next swing. Not much. Maybe 5%. But I saw it. Everyone in the premium seating saw it. Pressure point, I whispered. The human found a pressure point in Krell physiology. That's impossible, Plix said. The Krell have been studied for centuries. Their nervous system is completely protected by their exoskeleton. There are no exploitable weaknesses. Jack Reeves begged to differ. He moved like water, like smoke, like something that couldn't be touched. Every attack Thorgax launched met empty space. And after each miss, Jack's fingers would tap another location. Hip joint. Knee. The base of the neck ridge. Shoulder blade. Thorgax's movements grew sluggish. His breathing became labored. His forearms started moving independently instead of in coordination. The crowd noise shifted from excitement to confusion to something approaching awe. He's dismantling him, I said. Piece by piece. Joint by joint. The human is shutting down a Krell warrior using nothing but pressure points and timing. 5 minutes in, Thorgax stumbled. The unstoppable champion actually stumbled. 10 minutes in, he fell to one knee. His breath came in ragged gasps. 3 of his 4 arms hung useless at his sides. Jack Reeves finally stopped moving. He stood 3 feet in front of the kneeling Krell, hands at his sides, breathing barely elevated. He wasn't even sweating. "Submit," Jack said quietly. His translator carried the word through the stunned silence. "This is over. You know it. I know it. Everyone watching knows it. Submit and keep your dignity." Thorgax tried to stand. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. His remaining functional arm trembled with the effort of just staying upright. The crowd held its collective breath. 17 billion credits hung in the balance. Reputations. Pride. Everything. And that's when something truly unexpected happened. Thorgax started laughing. Deep, genuine, thunderous laughter that echoed through the entire Colosseum. His massive frame shook with it. The confused murmurs in the crowd grew louder. Was this some kind of breakdown? Had the human broken his mind along with his body? "You magnificent little creature." Thorgax wheezed between laughs. "You never intended to beat me. You already had beaten me before I threw the first punch." Jack's smile widened just slightly. "Took you long enough to notice." And that's when I understood. Really understood. The fight hadn't started when the referee gave the signal. The fight had started 3 weeks ago when Jack Reeves accepted the challenge. Every interview Thorgax gave, boasting about Krell's superiority. Every training video released to the public showing his devastating techniques. Every anatomical diagram available in the galactic database about Krell physiology. The human had studied it all. Absorbed it all. He'd mapped out every nerve cluster, every weak point, every exploitable gap in that supposedly impenetrable armor. Thorgax hadn't walked into a fight. He'd walked into a thesis defense, and Jack Reeves had just proven his argument with experimental evidence. "I submit," Thorgax declared, his voice carrying clearly despite his exhaustion. The human wins. The arena exploded. Absolute chaos. Half the crowd was cheering. The other half was screaming in denial. Somewhere in the distance, I heard what sounded like a Glorthian having a complete nervous breakdown over their lost bets. Plix had all 7 eyes open now, staring in disbelief. The referee rushed forward, raising Jack's hand in victory. Medical teams swarmed Thorgax, scanning him frantically. Within minutes, they'd administered treatments to restore function to his temporarily disabled neural pathways. The damage wasn't permanent. It was never meant to be. That might have been the scariest part. Jack could have crippled him permanently. Could have killed him at least 6 different times during those 10 minutes. But he'd held back. Showed restraint. Demonstrated absolute control. I pushed through the crowd, my credentials as a sports correspondent getting me past security. I needed to hear this directly. Needed to understand what I'd just witnessed. Jack was toweling off, looking remarkably relaxed for someone who'd just defeated the sector's most feared warrior. Thorgax sat nearby, medical scanners still buzzing around him, but he was grinning. Actually grinning at his opponent. "Question for the record," I called out, activating my recording device. "How did you know the pressure points would work? Krell biology isn't exactly common knowledge on Earth." Jack shrugged. "It's not complicated. Everything with a nervous system has vulnerable points. Doesn't matter if you're from Earth, Krell Prime, or the Andromeda Galaxy. Physics is physics. Biology is biology. I just had to find the map." "And the map was available where exactly?" Plix asked, hovering beside me with all his eyes focused on the human. "Your own medical journals. Your anatomical databases. Your publicly available training documentation. You guys share everything on the galactic network. I spent 2 weeks reading. 1 week practicing on simulation models. This was honestly easier than my doctoral thesis." Thorgax laughed again. He studied. While I was crushing practice dummies and posting videos about my dominance, this tiny human was doing homework. "You're not upset about losing?" I asked the Krell warrior. "Upset? I'm impressed. Humbled even. I thought victory came from strength alone. This human taught me that knowledge, preparation, timing, those are weapons too. Maybe the strongest weapons." Thorgax extended one massive hand toward Jack. "I would be honored to train with you. Learn your methods." Jack gripped the hand without hesitation. "I'd like that. And maybe you can teach me how you generate that much kinetic force without tearing your own muscle fibers. That's actually fascinating from a biomechanical standpoint." And there it was. 2 warriors from different worlds, different philosophies, shaking hands like old friends. The crowd was still going absolutely insane around us. Somewhere, bookmakers were frantically processing the biggest payout upset in Coliseum history. "One more question," I said. "When did you know you'd won? What was the exact moment?" Jack thought about it for a second. "When I accepted the challenge 3 weeks ago. Everything after that was just demonstrating the proof. The fight was already over. Thorgax just didn't know it yet." Plix made a choking sound. "That's the most terrifyingly confident thing I've ever heard anyone say." "Confidence," Jack corrected. "No, just math. Just preparation. Just understanding that every problem has a solution if you're willing to do the work to find it." I filed my report that night. The headline practically wrote itself. Billions across the sector would read about this, would analyze the footage frame by frame, would argue about implications and techniques, and what it meant for combat sports going forward. But I kept coming back to one simple truth that Jack Reeves had demonstrated beyond any doubt. Humans don't just fight. They study. They adapt. They find the angles nobody else sees. They turn your strengths into predictable patterns and your defenses into roadmaps. They do their homework. And by the time they step into the arena, they've already run the numbers, mapped the outcomes, calculated the variables. The fight isn't over when a human falls. The fight is over when a human decides it's over. And sometimes, that decision gets made long before the first punch is thrown. Thorgax the Unstoppable learned that lesson the hard way. But to his credit, he learned it well. 3 months later, I heard he'd completely restructured his training regimen. Started studying tactics instead of just practicing power moves. Started treating combat like a science instead of just a brawl. And Jack Reeves? He went back to Earth, finished his doctorate in biomechanics, and politely declined 17 more challenge requests from warriors across the sector. Apparently, he'd made his point. No need to repeat the lesson. The betting pools never quite recovered. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.